was never a big reader growing up. Now, I know what the title says, so give me a second to explain myself. As kids, we all enjoy colorful storybooks, but as we grow older, books just become scary. Their distant cousin, textbooks, are introduced to us in school, and they're constantly linked to grades, assignments, and the worst thing of all, homework. And so I wouldn't blame you if you just think of books as blocks of meaningless text and new vocabulary that you have to learn, you have to constantly review. But let me introduce you to a new kind of book. During my sophomore year in high school, I picked up a book that I never thought would ever be interesting at all. It had a self-help label on it, and that book was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I really just didn't think that I had a lot to learn from it. You know, sophomore Sean was very egotistical. I thought I knew everything, like every sophomore in high school. But as I swallowed my pride for the sake of learning and for the sake of improving myself, I realized I had a very big paradigm shift, as Stephen Covey would say, about how I viewed life. Before, I really thought that celebrities and geniuses were the only people that had enough power and influence to be effective in life. But the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People really showed me a different perspective. It showed me that there was a path to becoming that way, and the 7 habits were fundamental principles, 4 ways to be like that. And so the 7 habits came down to this for me: consistent and mindful daily effort. I'll repeat it again: consistent and mindful daily effort. That's what it took every single day from the people we view in society as geniuses, the Bill Gates, and celebrities, let's say the Demi Lovato's. No, I don't know why I said that. The Demi Lovato's, as the people that we really admire and really aspire to be. And so the dozens of life lessons that I was learning from just this one book, was teaching me things that, you know, in the past 10 years of my schooling, I never learned. In the past 15 to 16 years of my life during that time, I have never learned. And all these new ideas showed me that books can be mentors. Books could be mentors to me. And that's because books really share all the life experience that an author puts into writing and really refines. They just share that with you as a reader, and that's really special. And through building relationships with the authors whose books I read and life experiences I got to experience for myself, I had a new life lesson that I didn't really think about before of having. So every single book that I read was kind of like a new lens. This is a lens cap, but it was kind of like a new lens which I could view the world through. And let me give you an example. So when I was reading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, literally everything that I was thinking about was in terms of how can I be effective? How can I think with the end in mind? How can I seek to understand first and then to be understood? Reading and consuming content is really powerful in our own minds, especially being at a younger age or just any age. You know, we have so much brain plasticity, and that allows us to really model the life that we want to live by the books we read. And so as I became a voracious reader, a word that I also learned from reading a book, a voracious reader, and I just kept reading book after book, story after story, experience after experience, I was able to turn my ordinary life into an extraordinary life. And this shift happened initially not because crazy new things were happening to me, but it was because I took a new perspective, and the things I viewed in my life, I viewed them as amplified. I viewed them as opportunities to improve. And so that really changed my life. And let me repeat this one more time, just because I think this is what makes the core of reading so important and so valuable. It's that I went from an ordinary life to an extraordinary life, not because the things that happened to me changed, but because the way I viewed them changed. The way I analyzed them changed. And I got those perspectives and life lessons from reading, from having mentors through their works of authorship, through reading other people's real perspectives and real stories. And so give me one quick second. This is my cover of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is my book of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And you can just see how slim it is, right? It's pretty short right there. And you would never expect it, or I never expected it rather, but this book is massively impactful, and it just contains so many life lessons. And I think that's because, number one, Stephen Covey, he was a businessman, consultant, and professor in the leadership sphere for over 20, 30, 40 years. That's 2 times longer than I've been alive. And he imparted his lessons, he put all of his life lessons and the things that he would consider the fundamental rules of success and being effective as a person into these 2 covers. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of life lessons in between these 1, 2 covers. That is amazing. And I'll let that speak for itself. by the cover. It says #1 national bestseller, obviously, and it has over 10 million copies sold. And I recently just looked that up, and that's become over 25 million. That means 10 million people had the audacity to read this book and then share it with someone else because they found it life-changing. I'm sharing it with you now, and I hope you find it. I hope you find value in this. And so maybe the best part of this, as I'm coming off of 2019, reading around 40 books, or even more than 40 books, was that I get to share that with other people. So I've already had so many stories shared with me in terms of books, but now I can share my stories and share the love of reading to other people. So here are 6 books and a bonus 7th book at the very end that you might have heard of that I would love to share with you. First, we're gonna go with habit building. So habit building has been an amazing factor of my life. It's been allowing me to do things like make videos consistently, journal consistently, start a morning routine, which we'll get into a bit later. But one book that was really fundamental to my understanding of habits and my application of habits was Atomic Habits by James Clear. So Atomic Habits by James Clear is a really practical and really pragmatic understanding of why habits work, how to hack them, and just really how to implement them in your life with the most ease and with the most effectiveness as possible. And moving on to the second book that I would love to recommend to you, it's an inspirational biography. Who doesn't love biographies? And who doesn't own one of these, gizmos, gadgets, iPhones, AirPods, I wrote my script out on a Mac, but who doesn't own one of those? And there isn't a better person to read about, who is very interesting and maybe not the best model for who we want to be in life, but really interesting, really innovative. And that book is about Steve Jobs. It's titled Steve Jobs. It's by Walter Isaacson. He worked closely with Steve Jobs to present this to everyone. And it's a biography going through literally everything that Steve Jobs went through. There's a lot that he did growing up as a kid, in his teenage years, and even when he was in Apple and then out of Apple and then back at Apple. There were so many layers to it. Fun fact, he worked at Pixar. He was one of the founding members of Pixar. Yeah, that's the movie studios. And moving on to the third one, I would like to shout out this book right here that I actually have. This is The Third Door by Alex Bayanin. It's the wild quest to uncover how the world's most successful people launched their careers. And this book is amazing. #1, because I find so many similarities between me and Alex. His story was, he was like 18 or 19. He dropped out of USC to pursue a dream of, again, uncovering and discovering how the most successful people launched their careers. So he got to talk to people like Bill Gates. He indirectly questioned Warren Buffett, and there's so many other stories and philosophies that I just learned through this book. And it's really, you just take a front seat in this book, and he shares his genuine experience. And I laughed, I cried, I had a lot of fun, recommended it to like a bunch of friends, and you're my friend too, so I'm recommending it to you. All right, and the fourth thing is The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And I recently just went to the Best Year Ever Blueprint, hosted by Hal Elrod and his partner John Berghoff. But I would also love to shout out this book because I've always wanted to have a really solid morning routine from the moment that I, saw articles online and saw videos online of like CEOs do their morning routine. And I was like, wow, I don't have 2, 3, 4 hours to spend, going to the gym and doing all these crazy things. But the Miracle Morning is a really practical way and really easy way to pick up habits. And not just habits, but the habit of a morning routine. And he explains everything from the significance of a morning routine, his own story, which is amazing story. He died for 6 minutes from a car crash, then he survived. But you're just gonna have to get the rest of the story in the book. But this is just an amazing resource to start your own morning routine. It's been immensely helpful, and I still do it every single day for like the past 3 months. Every single day I've been doing savers, doing the morning routine, The Miracle Morning. Check it out by Hal Elrod. All right, and we're moving on to the next book, which is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So this is a book that I've actually been getting through starting 2020. So I've just been finishing it up this week. I'm actually like on one of the last books inside of Meditations. But Meditations by Marcus Aurelius is a closer look at Stoicism, a philosophy of life, where we're being more objective about things, where we're really thinking things through and acting from a place of logic and not of just raw emotions. So it's been really helpful to me to understand how to deal with my own emotions, with my own grapple on how I view life. And a lot of these things is just like very humbling. There's one lesson that I've learned from this book, and it's that humility matters. So being able to suck up your ego, being able to learn that, there's always someone that you can learn from, having that humility to say like, yeah, maybe I'm at a different place than you, but I'll take the position of being a learner and being an observer, That's exactly what this book has taught me. It's a really cool read. Check it out. And the last book that I would like to show is this huge book right here. Or actually the sixth book, not the last book. The sixth book I would like to show is this book right here. It's called The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. I read this around early of last year because a bunch of family just wanted me to read it. And I was like, Mom, Dad, I don't even have a job yet. I still don't, well, I do have a job now, but I didn't have a job at the time. So I was like, what do I need with a personal finance book? Why would I need to have a personal finance book if I don't have a job, if I don't have money to manage? And the answer was really clear. This guy, he's really clear on the stories that he gives. He's really clear on the anecdotes and the metaphors that he gives into how managing money is really important. And it's not just managing, it's just the fundamental way we think of money. And so it's been helping me to really realize, like, how do I really want to view money as? You know, there's a lot of different conceptions that we have as money, but we have for money, but he lays it out really clear. So again, Dave Ramsey and the Total Money Makeover. And it says, hundreds of thousands of ordinary people have become debt-free. Here's how you can too. I'm not debt-free yet, so the guarantee is not guaranteed until you start making until you start making a bunch of money. But here's one last book, the seventh and last book I would like to recommend, and it has to be The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Who wouldn't have thought? Who would have thought? I mean, and again, this book is just amazing. I think it's one of the core philosophies or one of the core fundamental beliefs and systems that I've built my success upon and that I've built my life upon. So again, I love everything about this book. Really quick rundown. It goes from private victories to public victories and then to sharpening the saw, which is renewal. So personal victories is just like everything internal, everything happening to myself. So that would be stuff like making new habits, like going out to the gym, drinking a lot of water, having a morning routine, having a night routine, reading books. Those are examples of personal success. And then afterwards, Covey, he advocates for bringing all that personal success and applying it to public success. And I know me talking about all of this might be a little bit overwhelming. I know books can be really hard to get into. I know that maybe no one around you reads. That was the situation for me. And I know that it's just a lot of upfront investment in terms of when you're trying to start to read a book, like because you're always getting distracted. Maybe you just haven't read a book in a long time. It's kind of new to you, or kind of, you know, like you're trying to get the reins on it again. But I just want to really encourage you, stick with it. Once you get the snowball rolling, it's just only a matter of time when you're reading every single day and you're learning all these life lessons, you're applying it to your life, you're sharing it with other people. Reading is just really important. So get started. Get started with one of these books. Choose one thing to do. Choose one book to read. Choose one kind of mantra you want to have, like, oh, I'm going to read 10 books, not 10 books, but 10 pages every night before I go to sleep. That's a better goal than 10 books. We'll get into that in a separate video. But choose one thing that you want to do and really stick to it. Any of the 6 books that I recommended, they're all really amazing. Hopefully one of them struck you as really cool and really applicable to your situation. And I guess that leads us to the conclusion. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. You stuck around to the end, so I can kind of guess that maybe you kind of like this kind of stuff. I just want to invite you to subscribe, like the channel, like the video, and share this one with one other person. Please, if you can do one thing besides subscribing, share this video with one other person that you would really want to encourage to read. Or if, you know, whether it's like your brother, your sister, your friend, or like a mentor, you know, get back on reading. Reading is very important. And I just gotta say, welcome to the Tran Clan. Love you, Tran Clan. Peace out and have a great one. See you in the next one.